Hello everyone, this is Shankar. Hope you are doing well. In this video, I will explain about inbound and outbound roles. Roles. These two are these two are part of security group. Security group. This is the security group. One of the configuration in EZ2. This EZ2 is the one of the service in AWS. So in AWS, easy to service or sometimes we will call like a easy to install. In that easy to install, network security groups are there. NSG network security groups are security groups. Inside the security groups, we need to allow inbound traffic, outbound traffic. I will explain why we need to allow inbound role and outbound role. Why we need to set both inbound and outbound role. First, I will explain through the diagram. After that, I will write a bullet points about this, and finally, I will show the real time example like how we can configure these inbound and outbound roles in security group. So let's get started. So see here, so it is a user. So users are there. Users. Users what users will do. Users can access the applications. Users. Suppose this is the network. Network. Agent. This is a cloud. AWS cloud. Right? AWS cloud. So what will happen? So we are deployed our microservice, micro microservice, microservice one. So we are deployed microservice two. So we are deployed two microservices in AWS. So we all are know that every microservice have unique port like 8080 unique port like 9090. Every microservice running on some specific port, right? Every microservice running on some every every microservice is running on some specific port, right? So yeah, so we need to allow. This is the so users are trying to access, just trying to access our microservices. That means this is the incoming request, incoming request, incoming request, right? So users are trying to access via network, right? So users are trying to access our microservice one. So see now post request coming from the user, it will goes to the either like API gateway or API gateway or load balancer, right? So like agent user is trying to hit suppose HTTP colon public IP some port 8080 slash API slash users. So this is one endpoint. See, this is the public IP. So this is the protocol HTTP. HTTP only in HTTP. How we will configure in ALB 8080 for the HTTP. Suppose if HTTPS, how we will configure 443. 443 for the HTTPS. So 443 for the H HTTP HTTPS for the 443, HTTP for the 480, right? So public IP, so application port, class level path, method level path, right? So here what will happen? So suppose request coming from the browser, it will goes to the up either gateway, API gateway, or it will goes to API gateway, or if API gateway is not configured via post router route 53. This is the this endpoint configuration route 53 to API gateway, or without API gateway it will directly it to the load balancer. Suppose application load balancer, right? What we are doing in data application load balancer. So it is the HTTP, right? We are mapping. 80 colon 8081, right? We are mapping like this. We are mapping in ALB. At ALB, we are mapping like this. ALB at ALB level, we are mapping like this. So here, this is the load balancer port. This is the application port. So what we are doing in inbound role. So this is a inbound role. Inbound role. What we are saying. So whenever, whenever, whenever you get a, you got a request. Suppose get a request from 8080 port. You're saying please allow it, allow it. It is like a inbound and outbound rules are like a firewalls, firewalls, firewalls. So security, security, security groups are like a firewall, firewall, right? So firewall. Whenever you get a request from 8080 port, please allow it. Like so, I say like allow means so okay, you can go and access this particular application like that allowing. So it is called inbound role. So this is called inbound role, right? This is called inbound role. So what is inbound role? Inbound, inbound role, nothing but incoming request, incoming about incoming traffic. Better word, incoming traffic. So like traffic is coming from the like user sending a request goes over the network and going to the AWS. So at AWS entrance, so it is checking the so this particular port is allowed or not. So first it will goes to the ALB. ALB is mapped to the application application port, right? So here it will verify it is allowed or not in inbound roles, in security inbound roles. If it is allowed, it will allows like we can able to access the application. Otherwise, it will says not found, some error it will throw, right? So it is the ALB port. This is the application port mapping. So like if we are deploying our application by using container, then container port will be there, application port will be there. You can forget these about ALB, these ports you may confuse. So like inbound role, nothing but incoming traffic. So like suppose you are trying to access this endpoint. This endpoint, it is the one microservice. Every microservice one unique port, right? This is running an 8080 port. So you are trying to access this endpoint via DNS. DNS means domain name server. Some DNS will be there. DNS. Suppose you are trying to access by using DNS. It will be available at ALB level, right? So at ALB level, DNS will be available. You are trying to access this endpoint. So here in inbound role, we need to mention this particular port, we need to allow, then only application will reach us the, so then only this request will be reached as this microservice, otherwise it will not reach. So this is called inbound, right? What is the outbound? So this is called inbound. So inbound traffic. What is called outbound? Suppose, so there are two AWS accounts are there. So in first AWS account, there are two applications are deployed. There are two applications are deployed. In second AWS account, other two. Suppose in another AWS account, one microservice is deployed. We need to pitch this. So let's make a like a AWS account -1. So AWS account -2. So you need to fetch data from the second AWS account. So like so see here. This is my microservice 2 is there. This microservice 2 wants to interact with the microservice. This microservice 2 wants to interact with the microservice 1, but that is there in another AWS account. So in this case, we need to enable the outgoing traffic. It is called a outbound role. It is called a outbound role. It is called a it is called a outbound role. We need to enable your outbound role. So we need to enable your outbound role. In this case, we need to enable outbound role. Outbound role nothing but so one service is there, one service we are deployed in, one service we are deployed in. Suppose one service we are deployed in AWS account one that wants to interact with the another microservice, another service that is deployed in another AWS account. For that, so suppose microservice to need a token, but the token API is deployed in this AWS 2 account. So post what will happen? It will goes to AWS account 2. From here, it will fetches the token, then sends to the adder to the microservice to some API, then it will fetches the right. For that, we need to enable the outbound role. Outbound role. What is the outbound role? So, what is the outbound role? So, it is called a inbound role. This is the security firewall. What is the outbound role? So, outbound role, nothing but outgoing traffic. Outgoing traffic is nothing but outbound role. Is nothing but outbound role. Is nothing but outbound role. So, outbound role. That means request going from the AWS account to some another external service or external. Assume like a external application. External application. So we are saying so allow to go to outside of the AWS. Outbound role means to allow to go outside of the AWS account and fetch the data. Like that we are saying. So this is the diagrammatic explanation of the inbound and outbound rule. Inbound means incoming traffic, outbound means outgoing traffic. So suppose this is the endpoint I am trying to it from the browser. It is called a inbound rule. So in AWS we are deployed the two microservices. Suppose we are deployed the microservice that wants to fetch some data from the other external service that is deployed in other AWS account or the other some cloud. So for that we need to enable the outbound rule. For that we need to so enable the outbound rule, right? So this application port mapped with the ALB port. ALB port. So node node ALB port mapped with application port. Application up application port application port. For example, this is the ALB port, this is the application port. Like so, Docker container port is mapped with Docker container port mapped with application port mapped with application port. For that, like support 8082. This is the container port. 8081 is the application port. Like that, this mappings will be there. ALB, right? This node point you can ignore right now. So you can ignore this node point. This is not a important right now. So node point, I'm moving this side. So yeah. So as of now, we are understand that what is inbound role. Inbound role is incoming traffic, for example. So I am trying to access this endpoint. So incoming role nothing but inbound role nothing but incoming traffic. So for example, so I am deployed one microservice in AWS. AWS. So I want to access it that my application. This is the endpoint. So further, this is the endpoint. So while accessing microservice deployed in AWS, we need to enable the inbound rule. We need to enable the inbound rule. So like that. So and one token API is there in external service. That external microservice deployed in AWS account to some another server. So we need to fetch that token and we need to pass as a adapter to the my API. For that we need to enable the outbound role. So we are understand right? After so now I will write a some bullet points. So I will write a some bullet points like what is a security group. What is a security group? So in AWS, a security, a security group acts like a virtual firewall, virtual firewall for your easy to instance or application, easy to instance or application. See, what is a security group? In AWS, a security group acts like a virtual firewall for your easy to instance or application, right? Easy to instance or application. What it will do, this security group. So it controls, it controls what it will control inbound, inbound traffic and outbound, outbound traffic. It will control inbound and outbound traffic. So what is inbound traffic? Incoming, incoming requests to your application. So if you want, you can also add this incoming request to your application. So what is the inbound rule? You can remove this. So you can add here, select. So do one thing, paste. So incoming request to your application. Control V, Control C. Go to paint. So make it a red color. Incoming request to your application. So this is the inbound row traffic or role. What is the outbound traffic? Requests going out from your application. From your application. Requests going out from your application. It is called outbound, right? It is called outbound traffic. So let's add. So it is a incoming traffic. It is a outgoing traffic. So incoming traffic. So request going out from your application, right? Control C, go to paint. request going out from your application controllers. Yeah, what is inbound traffic? Incoming request to your application is called inbound traffic. What is outbound traffic? Request going out from your application is called outbound traffic, right? So I will explain about one example. So example, so when a, so I will explain one example. When a client or user sends a request, when a client sends a request to your microservice or Spring Boot microservice application, AWS not post. So AWS checks the inbound inbound rules inbound rules of the security group security group AWS first checks the inbound rule of the security group. If the port is port is allowed, the request the request reaches the application. See a example, when a client sends a request to your Spring Boot or microservice application, AWS port checks the inbound rules of the security group. If the port is allowed, the request reaches the application. How can we configure this inbound role in security group? Like we need to choose the options like custom TCP. This we need to choose. Port we need to enter, and anywhere IPv4, and this is the some IP address 40/0. I will show this practically. So understand, right? Next example, outbound role example. So one microservice application is is deployed in AWS account A. Another microservice is deployed in AWS account B. So if application A wants to call application B, then outbound traffic must be allowed. So same custom TCP 8080 anywhere IPv4. This is like this port number. Suppose same port or some different port. So I will repeat one more time about the inbound and outbound traffic or rules. So inbound traffic you can also as rule, inbound rule, right? What is a security group? In AWS, a security group acts like a virtual firewall. It is like a firewall for your easy to instance or your application. So what is security group? In AWS, a security group acts like a firewall for your application. So it controls inbound traffic or role, outbound traffic or role. So what is mean inbound role? Incoming request to your application. What is outbound traffic or role? A request going out from your application. Example, when a client sends a request to your microservice application, AWS would check the inbound rules of the security group. If the port is allowed, the request reaches the application. When a client sends a request to your microservice application, AWS would check the inbound rules. of the security group. If the port is allowed, the request reaches the application. So what is the outbound rule? One microservice application is deployed in AWS account 1. Another microservice is deployed in AWS account B. Account A, account B. So what is outbound traffic? One microservice application is deployed in AWS account 1. Another microservice is deployed in AWS account B. So like one microservice application is deployed in AWS account A, another microservice is deployed in AWS account B. So if application A wants to call application B, then outbound traffic must be allowed. So as of now we are understand through diagrammatic and theory points, right? I will explain now. So practical example. So let's go to AWS console. So AWS console management. So we are now trying to access by using the root credentials. So we will access through root credentials, login. It is asking the password. So it is asking now MFA, multi-factor authentication. So sign in. So I am using the US-East region. So if you are, suppose you are created one easy to instance, and after that if you are changed to another region, then your easy to instance will not be appear. Suppose you are created this Mumbai AP South one region, one easy to instance. After that you are switched to this Virginia region, then that instance will be not available. So these are the region specific. If you are switching, then you need to create another easy to instance like that. So you can search easy to, we can access different ways. You can search easy to, click here, easy to service. So go back. See, this is the recently I used, that's why it is appearing. Recently visited. So these are the bookmark. Let's bookmark post easy to bookmark with star. It is already there. See, it is already bookmarked. Suppose I remove bookmark. See, there is no easy to. I bookmarked easy to, right? So enter easy, go to easy to service. So scroll down, nothing is there, right? Go to the dashboard. See, security groups. Inside the security groups, so inbound and outbound topics are there, or rules are there. Already three are there. I long ago I created the three security groups. So one is default, two another two I created. This way we can access. Otherwise, so easy to write. Click on easy to. Scroll down in easy to. There are multiple like instances, images, elastic block storage, network and security. In network and security, security groups. Click here. Click here. So we need to create security group. Right? Create security group. Click here. Click here. Scroll up. Basic detail. Security group name. So suppose first interview guide hyphen network security group energy. So at last or beginning we need to mention what we are creating. By using these names we can easily identify. By using seeing this energy network security group, we can able to identify it is like a, it is a security group. Right? See, inbound role, outbound roles. So I am not creating anything. I will not adding. Create security group. After creating security group, I will add. See, security group is created. See, security group was created successfully. So go to security groups. See, now count is 4. Previously, previously go to dashboard. Previously 3. Now it is 4, right? Click here. We can access multiple ways, like we can scroll and we can access, or directly in instances option will be there, right? Security groups. We can see this is the our created. Click this here. So it will open. So inbound and outbound rules. So there is no inbound rules. As of now, no inbound rules, right? edit inbound roles. So what I said, custom TCP 8080, right? Add role, type custom TCP, port number 8080. So this is the anywhere IPv4. This is the right. Save roles. Save roles. So see one role is there. One role added, right? Outbound roles. By default, all traffic, one role is there. So let's add another role. So custom TCP. So many are there, the custom TCP, all traffic, SSH. These all are there. DNS. So many are there. See MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle RTS, MySQL, like that. So many are there. Custom TCP. Suppose port 8081 or something. So anywhere IPv4, this is the port. Save the role. So this way too we can add the rules. So go to security groups. So we created this one, right? Last one. Selected actions. Delete security group. So see there are the four. Just refresh it. There are three security groups, right? In this video, we have successfully understand so what is inbound role and outbound role in security groups in AWS. So thank you for watching. For more videos, please subscribe to this YouTube channel.